Hey, and we are back. There's Karyn. She's here. We're both in airplane mode and ready to continue our conversation. So this is now Beyond Funny Broadcasting, part one. No, episode one, part two. We'll say episode one, part two. And as we were wrapping up our last discussion about the health benefits of humor, I know that I did not give Karyn enough time to go through everything she wanted, but I'm not even going to let her.
There's never enough time.
There's never enough time. Good point. I'm not letting her decide what she's going to talk about. I just think that one of the most important things to discuss is the difference between humor and laughter. And obviously, I think it's pretty intuitive that we know those are two different things, but a lot of the research that's been done on the health benefits of humor looks at laughter. And I think as someone with an exercise physiology background, it's pretty obvious to me that if you're laughing, there's some physical activity happening, and you're obviously, you've got some abdominal muscles doing some things, contracting, whatever, who knows what else. And a lot of times I've heard people say things like, you know, laughing for so many minutes is like riding an exercise bike for however many minutes as far as burning calories. So, you know, we just hear about those things, but I'm not a laugher. I can find things really funny and kind of giggle to myself or chuckle, but I tend to not have those deep belly laughs very often. So I just assumed kind of humor wasn't for me until I started learning more about it. So Karyn, what would you say to somebody who has that sort of mentality around, you know, not being a laugher, not being able to get the benefits of humor because they're not outwardly expressing laughter?
Right. And I'm going to assume that this is actually even a separate conversation, which we'll have another one, maybe part three, one of these days, on sense of humor and being funny. So right now we're looking at humor and laughter. And in terms of humor, what we're really looking at or talking about most of the time when people are talking about humor is the cognitive, because the you know, what people find funny tends to be, you know, something from a cognitive, whether it's, you pick your reason. There's all different kinds of theories about what humor is, and is it relief, or is it the disconnection, or is it, you know, for whatever reason. But it's and what they see is when they have people all hooked up and they're looking at their brains. I love studying humor in the brain. Is, you know, that there is this process of the humor that goes through the left side of your brain, and that's like interpreting what this is, and then it goes through the right side of your brain, and then it goes, you know, to the frontal lobe, and then it goes to the occipital lobe, and so basically your entire brain is involved with this cognitive process. But you can have that cognitive process and never even crack a smile. And so, you know, when that cognitive process is going on, what we realize is that in and of itself is stimulating different kinds of things. You know, again, we're psychoneuroimmunology. We can't separate mind and body. And when this is going on in our mind, it's signaling our body to, you know, decrease the cortisol and to decrease the adrenaline and all of those kinds of things. So you are still getting those kinds of benefits, even if you're not a laugher, even if it's just the cognitive piece of it. Now, the flip side is you can be laughing and not have any of that cognitive process going on. This is the laughter clubs and the laughter yoga. And with this piece, now what you're looking at is the physiological effects, primarily respiratory and musculoskeletal, because, you know, you refer to
That's my favorite system.
Pardon? My favorite system. Yes. And you were referring earlier to a piece of research that had been done by, you know, one of my earliest mentors and dear friend who just passed away this past year, Dr. William Fry, who had done a study, you know, quite a few years ago on a population that was over 50. He wrote a chapter about it in a book called Humor and Aging. And what he found was that in the group that he studied, when they did 2 minutes of belly laughter, that they experienced aerobically, it was the same measure, it was the same aerobic benefit as 10 minutes on a rowing machine. And so people who are laughing and people who are, you know, doing this laughter for no reason, and I'm sure you can give people lots of different resources for that. A couple off the top of my head are, you know, worldlaughtertour.com and laughteryoga.com. And this stimulation of just the bringing air in and forcing it out. And people, when they laugh, you know, unless they're a quadriplegic, they're not sitting still. You know, they're moving, their muscles are moving, and they're moving all around. And I've taught laughter clubs and laughter yoga in the past, and what we found was that they are experiencing this aerobic benefit, that they start pinking up their face. You can see the increased circulation, and they start peeling off their jackets and their extra clothing. I've never had anybody like laugh naked, but at least not at a laughter club. Like, too much information. Anyway, so you know, these are the two different kinds of things. You can have laughter without the cognitive, and you can have the cognitive without the laughter. And just because you're not a laugher certainly shouldn't discourage you from wanting to participate in more humor.
Right. So the first thing I want to say about that is, having been to a laughter yoga session, I was really pretty amazed at how quickly contagious it was. So, I mean, I was the one in the back of the room with the video camera going, oh, look at these, you know, goofballs. And of course, I started laughing, and whether I was at them or with them, I mean, who knows? But I started to notice the benefit, and it happened so quickly. It was like, you know, going through this exercise that laughter leaders are taught in, just starting to evoke that. And really, it was very physical. I mean, we were doing different things, clapping and putting our hands up, as you know. And so I was amazed at how quickly that worked. But, you know, the other piece of it too goes back to what you were saying last time about social. And as you know, Karyn, one of the things I'm looking at researching is the connection with laughter and the non-conscious brain, because it seems like it's a really good way to communicate a sense of safety to people. So if you're in a room with people laughing, whether you're actually laughing or not, you're getting a non-conscious cue to the brain that says, hey, everything's okay. You don't have to take this so seriously. So it makes sense then that it would decrease that cortisol and stress hormone production.
Right, exactly. And there's, you know, right now all we have is theories, and hopefully you're going to add to the base of knowledge here. You know, in the past, people have said, are there mirror neurons? Is it the fact that, you know, we hear laughter and we laugh back? And now there's, you know, evidence that is questioning that. But this is why, you know, comedies produce laugh tracks, or you know, put laugh tracks on sitcoms and things, because they know if you hear the laughter, again, like you said, you respond with the laughter, and so you get that physiological effect. Now, what we've also found with the laughter clubs is that like you said, you start laughing and you start experiencing that. And most of them then also start getting into the cognitive or psychological, because you're looking at people and you're thinking, oh my gosh, you know, it's almost like relief from pain. I'm making a fool out of myself, but isn't this funny? And listen, you know, look at all those other people, and this is so much fun. And now now you get into that mixture again of all that good juju going on in your brain.
Yeah. Well, so then we've got to wrap up with probably what my favorite thing is. And I think this is probably what you're referring to when you're saying we need a whole nother conversation, but I think this would be a good tie-in, at least to leave people with this. And that is that, you know, humor, whether you're laughing or not, the appreciation of humor is cognitive exercise. I kind of think of it as a way of kind of massaging my brain in whatever kind of humor it is. And that by doing that exercise, you can actually train your brain to perceive what's funny around you better. So it's kind of like positive psychology. We know that by writing down things that you're grateful for, you start to pay more attention to things you're grateful for. And that can have a huge impact on, you know, the way that you perceive the world. And I think from a stress management perspective, humor is one of the greatest things we can do, because the more we intentionally apply it, the more we can rely on that mental muscle when we really need it most, when things are really stressful.
Building the resilience. And one more thing that you mentioned that, again, we'll come back to this later, folks, make a note of this, was when you said the anticipatory effect. Because we know with stress, the anticipatory effect can cause things that are negative in your body as if you were experiencing the event itself. And now studies have shown that the anticipatory effect of humor, same thing. Just thinking about the fact that you're going to watch a sitcom or that you're going to go to a comedy club already starts that good kind of chemistry in your body before you even experience it, you know, live and in person.
That's amazing. As you were saying that, I started thinking, I'm going to anticipate I was going to a comedy show tonight and seeing one of my favorite comedians, and I could kind of feel that. I mean, again, coming from someone who really sought this out in the midst of a very, very serious dark depression, to now having used this over the last few years, I can see how it's made me more resilient. And when I'm going through, you know, little dips in emotion, I really rely on it as a strategy. So of course I have the wonderful Karyn to thank for being my humor buddy. So I want you to share it with more than just me. What would be a couple of things that people could do that are just really intentional, strategic? Maybe give us your top 3, and then I know you've got some other resources for people where they can get more ideas.
Well, you know, in terms of, you know, when people say, what can I do? The most important thing that I would encourage people to do is every single day to proactively and intentionally seek humor. And I used to say, you know, seek humor from another person. And I still think that is awesome. You know, it's like, you know, you and I and others reach out, and it's like on Facebook, it's like, hey, I'm in need of a little humor. Can you send me something? And I've got humor buddies, like you said, that send us humor on a regular basis. But I want to take out that word person and just leave it at seek humor proactively every day, because I know sometimes we're in situations where we're isolated or we don't have the opportunity to reach out to another person. And, you know, even today, I mean, I had to laugh because it was like I was in need of some humor. And so I didn't have you to go to right at the moment. And so I went to Siri. And I mean,
Yes. It's my favorite humor buddy of yours. I don't even have, well, I probably have it.
Like, you know, I just have to read people this, because it was like, okay, I got to ask Siri something funny. And so I asked her, how much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? And Siri answers me back, a woodchuck would chuck as much as a woodchuck could if a woodchuck could chuck wood, Karyn. I mean, it was just like, I was cracking up. And so, you know, knowing that you have certain things to go to every single day, whether it's an audio on or an MP3 on your phone, or something in your environment, or something that you've TiVoed, or another person, seek that out every day, because cumulative over a period of time, it's going to really affect the quality of your health.
Yeah, that's great. Well, and I know Karyn put together a 30-day humor challenge. And Karyn, where can people find that if they want to go through that? It's I think 30 videos that you put together with specific tips for each day.
There's a couple ways to find it. You know, one is to go to KarynBuxman.com and then / 30-day humor challenge. But probably easiest is just go to YouTube and just in the search window put 30-day humor challenge, and it'll bring up all the series of the videos.
Right. So there's not like 100 different versions of the humor challenge out there. They can find yours.
They can find
Who knows what else they'll find. Well,
right.
That was great, and we would love to continue the conversation with you. So we will have the video posted on YouTube. You can post questions, comments in the area below. If there's certain things you want to hear more about, let us know, because as I mentioned before, this is a series that we wanted to continue, and I'm going to be interviewing a lot of different experts. I'll certainly be bringing Karyn back to have future discussions, but this week actually is my first guest. Karyn is a guest, but she's really more than a guest. She's my humor buddy, but we're going to have a discussion with one of my favorite funny friends, Beth Usher, who has the most amazing story to tell. So I'm going to be interviewing her this Friday, and we will be posting that as well, and talk about someone using humor in a way to improve their health, and now actually going out and talking about it. I know she's really touched my life and your life.
Oh, she walks the talk, I'm telling you. If you're watching this, do not miss that video or that episode. It will change your life. She's amazing.
Yeah, so we're really blessed to have such amazing and amusing friends. I want to thank you again for watching this. Let us know how we can help you out. You've got the website there, synergyprograms.com, and you can go to the Beyond Funny tab for more information on healthy humor. So thank you, and we will see you again next time.